Hello, today I'm joined
Well,
by Southport's captain, David Morgan, who's here to talk about the new season as well as what it's been like for non-league players during lockdown. So, hi mate, how are you?
yeah, keeping well. What about you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. So, we'll start off by talking about like what it's been like for you, like what it was like for you during lockdown and what it's like now, because these are still uncertain times for non-league players. So, from your perspective, has it been like difficult and worrying for like the sport?
The whole thing sort of came about very quick as we we had a chat about it at training one week, and then all of a sudden we were locked down. But it was one of them where we never really knew what was going to happen, so we were always sort of keeping in touch with each other as to does anyone know any news? Has anyone got any other information? Is anyone aware of anything? But really, we never really thought that we were going to come back and be able to play for a while. After a few weeks, we got that sort of information. But the lockdown was, I'm sure it was the same for everyone. You know, you made of it what you could. It was good to spend time with the family and things like that. But coming back into pre-season from the lockdown, it was nice to get back to training. Majority of the lads, in fact, I wouldn't say any of the lads came back in bad shape or anything. So obviously everyone did what they needed to do over the little bit of a break that we had. And I would say majority, again, are feeling totally refreshed and ready to go again.
Of course, like you said, it came around very quick. Like 1 week was playing Kidderminster, and then we had a game against Blythe scheduled, and then that was just called off on the day because of the COVID. And then next thing we knew was in lockdown. So sort of that uncertainty and how quick we went into lockdown, like, and you didn't know when was going to come back out. Did that keep you on your toes? And you and the lads thought, we need to keep fit, we could be back at any point here.
Yeah, well, for myself personally, that I never paid much attention to it at the time it sort of came about, and I thought we'd be back within a couple of weeks. I thought 3 weeks we'll be back playing. So I kept myself ticking over, but as time went on, it sort of became clear to me, you know, this isn't going to be a 3 week thing. But I sort of had it in my head that I'll keep fit to the last game of the season as it was, and then that sort of kept me in line with what I would normally do every season. So then I had a little bit of a break, and then spoke to Liam and whatever, and Liam said, this is what they're proposing and when I think we'll be back. So took it from there really, and started to build my fitness up. Never went mental with anything, because even up until today, as such, there's no guarantees that we're the date that we were going to start.
Do you find it worrying still now that like there's been sort of a lack of funding towards non-league football, and that we were told we could have fans back on the 3rd of October, hence why that was the date was starting, and then obviously that's been pulled by the government, and there seems to be no parachute at the moment in place for the sport?
I think I liked it. I liked it when they came out and said, you know, this is when we expect to have fans back. But I think that if you're going to say that, you've got to have things in place for it to happen very quickly, and not sort of pull the carpet from below our feet at the last minute when we've prepared everything around starting with fans on the 3rd of October. And we're not the only club, you know, probably everyone at our levels planned for that. So that's been a bit of a knockback for us. But the funding side of it, I don't know enough about who should be funding who, and I understand as we can say that the Premier League should be sort of dropping money down towards us, but I'm guessing the Premier League are probably saying, well why should we? To a certain degree, they're the Premier League and they're out on their own. I think that's the way they look at it and whatever, but that's probably not the right way to be looking at it. Hopefully, though, that from what I've read and what I can gather in the last couple of days is that there's something in place that's going to allow us to be able to play and protect us a little bit more. I don't know whether that was always the case and they had that planned even when they made the statement about no fans coming in, or whether that's been sort of a bit of pressure from all the clubs really, that some are saying they were going to pull out of the FA Cup and things like that. I don't know, but you got to understand that this level of football, how important it is to people, and it is people's livelihoods and other people's part-time jobs as such. So there's a big divide in our league in terms of that. And if you're going to say that one club's classed as elite and that sort of thing, I think there needs to be a bit more clarity on why that is.
Is it sort of frustrating as well? Because obviously a lot's like sort of done to get pubs and bars and restaurants back open when we came out of lockdown. Sort of like a big like emphasis on like jobs being lost. Do you think like from above it's been forgotten that football is also a business and that people's livelihoods and communities rely on it so massively, and it's going to be a big loss to a lot of people if it can't go ahead with fans or don't have that
Yeah,
money in place?
definitely. A lot of people spend a lot of time, even like you look at our Twitter and, for example, you've got fans who come to majority of games every season. They're devastated that they can't come and watch us. I think it's been forgotten that it is a business as well, and to allow it to happen, allow us to play. It's like I said, we've got jobs. Some people have it as a full-time job, some people don't. But there's livelihoods at stake, like you say. So if we're not playing, there's certain that people won't get paid, won't get earning income, and that's just the way sort of the coronavirus has impacted people. But if we're going back to wanting to be able to play, there needs to be something to allow the club to make money from it so that they can pay players. And I don't think that was really considered. It was almost like, well, yeah, you can go back playing, but you've got no way of making any money because you can't get any fans in.
As captain, have you sort of been like using your role and your influence just to like reassure people and like just do your best and send a positive message that we'll get through this?
Yeah, when sort of the lockdown happened, lads were worried about what's going to happen with this, what's going to happen with that. And credit to Southport that we've all been looked after pretty well in terms of everything. James and Ian and Liam have made sure everyone's that is catered for and whatever. But yeah, in terms of us coming back, lads have been asking when it is. So I've just been in contact with Liam the whole way through, and whatever information I can get from him, I'm just passing on to the lads, and hopefully it's enough to keep them sort of in the loop and keep them ready.
So of course, finally in August, you did get back to playing pre-season action. It's been a long pre-season, been longer than usual. So what's that been like for you, having that long period? Was it just pleasing after so long without football to then have a nice 2 months of just getting back up to speed?
Yeah, I think it worked out pretty well in terms of that we played like a lot of games. If you think about when that last game was, it was March. So by the time that we play Saturday, that would have been 7 months that we didn't play football. Season, so I think that was the right sort of thing to do in pre-season, because you can train as much as you want and you can run as much as you want, but you can't replicate game time, which Liam obviously understood, and that's why we played so many games. Getting to know the new lads within them games has been beneficial, and I know that there's been a lot of games, but actually there's not that many of us that have played loads and loads and loads of football. We've played little bits here and there, which has been good. So hopefully we're all at a nice little sort of level that we're just ready to go into the season and hit the ground running.
Was it also about like adapting to like the new regulations in place? Because obviously you get your temperature taken before you get changed and then come out a different entrance to the opposition. And then, of course, we also had a game cancelled because of a positive corona test with Huddersfield. So just getting used to the sort of new norm in football.
Yeah, it's just new norm everywhere, isn't it? You've got to turn up with your mask on, you're getting your temperature taken, things like that. They're all just little bits of it. You got to go through that process. I always find though, once you're in the changing room, once you're putting your boots on, once you've got your kit on, that's just normal. You just go back to playing football like you normally would. The only thing that was a bit strange was at a couple of pitches and places that we played, when the ball went off the pitch, if the fans touched it, you weren't allowed to play with that ball. So then you had to get one that was at the side of the pitch. That was the only difference really. But that doesn't happen everywhere. Obviously, at our place, there's no fans in, so you don't have to worry about that one. But once you get you in the changing room, once you get your kit and whatever on, you're ready to go then, and that's just back to normal for us.
You mentioned not having fans in the stadium. That'll be the case for next few weeks at least, if not months. So what's that been like for you playing like in front of no one?
It's a strange scenario. You have it when you grow up through like academy football. You play games, and a lot of them sometimes there's not many fans, or they feel like they're behind closed doors and things like that. But they're a little bit different to what men's sort of senior football. I honestly feel that it's a disadvantage to us that we've got no fans in our ground on Saturday. We obviously have been used to it, and we've gone to places in pre-season where there is fans. I think though, you've just got to take it as it comes, and hopefully we're in a position to welcome fans back, and we're playing football at a good standard, playing playing good level of football and sitting high up the table, that when we do welcome them back, they've got something to come back and enjoy.
Well, things are looking positive heading into the new season after a strong displays throughout the off-season, like 10 wins out of 13 games, 45 goals scored. Obviously, some of the opposition haven't been the strongest, but even like against the Barrow game, it was a 2-0 defeat, but was a very good account of yourselves. So you're pleased with what you've worked on?
Yeah, the Barrow one was actually fairly early on in the pre-season. I think as we've gone on through pre-season, we've developed as a squad, we've developed as a team. Players have hit good levels. I think we've only had one sort of period in a game, and that was at Bamber Bridge, where I would say none of us were at it. And that's out of 13 games. If you only get one of them in every 13 games, when it was only 45 minutes, then we're not doing too bad. Liam's obviously fairly happy with what he's got, and recruitment's been good. Just hope that what we've done in pre-season we can carry on through into the season, and that's always the hardest thing about pre-season, because, like you say, you don't always play the highest standard of opponents, and it can be a little bit sense of false sort of scores at some of them games. So hopefully we can carry that on into the season and set a standard where we have done in pre-season.
So you're pleased with like where the squad's shaping up, like the players you've got around you, and does that give you like positive thoughts of the season ahead?
Yeah, everywhere I look, all over the pitch, you can go right from the goalkeeper right through to the centre forward. There's competition the full way through the pitch, and I don't think that anyone will be taking their position. As granted, everyone's got to perform to stay in the team, and that's what you want. I would say in certain times at the club in the last few years, there's been times when players haven't particularly been performing, but when you look to the bench, you wouldn't say, "Oh, I'll bring him in instead." And now I look at our squads this year, and I say he could definitely come straight into that team, things like that, off the bench. So I think there's a good variety of options for Liam to be working with.
Well, your first test is this Saturday in the FA Cup against Morpeth Town. So you're just excited to play some competitive football, and what a way to start with the FA Cup.
Yeah, the FA Cup's always a good one, but listen, Morpeth won't be an easy game. We know that. I don't think any game sort of in the FA Cup, especially them being from the division below, it's a bit of a free hit for them. They can come to our place and have a good go at it, and if they don't win, no one's going to turn around to them and say, well, you should have won, whereas the shoe's on the opposite foot for us. But I think in the last couple of years we've had a good run in the FA Cup, and something that I'd like to have another good crack at again this year.
How do you sort of deal with that pressure, or do you just keep it out your mind that you're playing low league opposition?
You look at our pre-season, sort of the last 4 or 5 games of our pre-season have been against lower league opposition. So I don't think it's a problem to us that we are mentally, we don't sort of get ready for the game. I think it's one of them, and it's always same scenario for us if we played a team in the league above. You find 5% or 10% from somewhere because you know that you could be a giant killer. Do you know what I mean? So we just got to make sure that we're ready for whatever they throw at us and stay in the game at all times. And hopefully our quality will be enough to win the game for us.
And of course, you mentioned you want a good run this season. What are your favourite memories of the FA Cup, either growing up watching it or obviously playing? You was involved in the Tranmere draw a few years ago, so you hope for a similar run to that?
Yeah, I've been sort of had a couple of good runs. I had one when I was at Tamworth. We ended up playing Cheltenham. That one was on TV, but the Tranmere one was obviously the best one that I had. Brad scored the goal. It was a great goal, and that'll always live long in the memory of him, I'm sure, and the fans. I felt like our opportunity was in the first game to beat Tranmere, but you know, when they came to our place, they obviously showed their little bit of class and scored 2 great goals. But yeah, the whole sort of atmosphere around the club, that's what you want to try and build. And it's something that some people will never experience in their football career, but as a club, I'd like Southport to be able to do that again.
And the games come thick and fast, because after Saturday's match, we start the National League North campaign against Hereford at home. So just excited to get the league underway as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think the league's always the one, you know, that's the most important. But I don't think that we can sort of be focusing on that Tuesday game before the Morpeth game. You know, sort the Morpeth game out, and then we can take it from there. And we will focus on Tuesday night after Saturday. Hereford won't be an easy game. They've come to our place a couple of times, and I think since they've been in our league, we've had a 1-1 draw, and we beat them 3-2 last year. But that game was just end to end, if you remember it. And then when we went away there, we had a 2-2 draw from being 2-0 up. So they've always been tight games. So that won't be an easy game, and no game in our league. Well, we've just got to try and do what we can, especially being at home, and hopefully get a good result to start us off well in the league.
Just finally, like, what are your hopes like this season in the league? How far do you think this side can go?
I honestly believe that we have a squad capable of challenging at the right end of the table. I'm not going to go around though and say that we're going to win the league and whatever. I'd rather, as a squad and as a group of lads, we just went about our business quite quietly, which is sort of what our group's about. We haven't got the characters that will be screaming and shouting, you know, after a result. We've just got lads who happy that they've won, but we'll just move on to the next one and want to win again, which is good traits to have.
That's great, mate. Well, just to finish, after all the serious chat about lockdowns and funding, I thought we'd finish on a bit of trivia. So you might have seen in past few weeks we've been doing Tuesday trivia on the Instagram story, and last week we did how well do you know the Southport squad. So I'm gonna ask you. About 3 players. I'm gonna see if you can name them.
All right, go on.
So the first one has played for Accrington, Fylde, and Barrow during his career.
Oh my God. Accrington, Fylde, and Barrow. I'm struggling here. I'm going to have a good think. Give me a bit of time.
I can give you a second clue, or do you want me to move on to the next one first?
No, give me a second clue for that one.
He's also played for Charlie.
Carver.
Correct.
I didn't know he was at Barrow. That one, Charlie one gave it away. I didn't realise he was at Barrow. So I wouldn't have got that one.
Right, second one. This player has been in the youth academy of Everton, Swansea, and Sunderland.
Jack Bainbridge.
That was quicker.
Yeah, I knew that one.
And finally, this player has been at clubs including Blackburn and Morecambe.
Dean Winnard.
Correct.
I only know that one because he always bangs on about two guy.
Well, mate, thank you for joining me today. It's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Thanks, mate. No problem.
Thanks to everyone for watching. Right, well, good luck with the start of the new season.
Yeah, cheers, mate.